Live from the Pathway Studios in Johnston proper. You are live from the Path.
I am a working man, I get things done. Work for the Holy Ghost, work for the Son. I am a working man, oh yes I am. I am a special agent of the land.
And you're listening to Live from the Path, coming to you from the Pathway Studios here in Johnston proper. It is just beautiful to be with you. I don't know what time you're listening to this. It may be in the evening. Is it? Actually, I find that perverse. I don't know why people would listen to the show in the evening time. This feels like something you should take in the morning.
Is the Chamber of Commerce, is that a government entity?
No. No, it's private.
What do they do exactly?
They promote business.
Yes, it's paid for by business dues, and they promote the local economy.
And the business pays into it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Why are we talking?
That was a secondary question. I was looking up something else. But I yesterday, was it 2 days ago? I don't know. I walked out of a restaurant and I walked by this government, like it was like a small government office for the county or something.
Yep.
And they had a sign in the window that said no public restrooms. And I thought, you're a government building. Like literally, we pay for all this, the whole thing. What do you mean no public restrooms? That seems outrageous to me. And I thought, can you actually do that? Like I know as a business, you can be like, hey man, we're not saying there's no bathrooms. We're just saying that you cannot use them.
Yeah.
But like as a government building, I feel like you basically bought the toilet with the taxpayers' money. You're going to have to let whoever wants to come in here, come in here.
Yeah, that's true. It should be mandatory that all government offices allow you to take a dump in the front there.
I'm going to go back and re-audit this location to make sure I'm right. But I remember standing back aghast that I'm like, I don't think you can say no public restrooms in a government building because literally the public paid for the building.
Yeah.
So that doesn't feel like an option to me.
Just walk in there and like, Margaret, I'm here for a 2.
Yeah, you either let me into the designated area or I will go in an undesignated area.
Do you think, is it unchristian like if someone comes to your house and wants to use your toilet, do you have to greet everybody? Or is there anybody where you can go, look, I just don't like your vibe, friend?
No, I think that, I don't like your vibe.
Yeah, Keith, you got to go somewhere else.
I would have a hard time saying no, I think, just out of the awkwardness of it.
Yeah.
But, like, I've had some weird dudes come up to my house in very odd hours asking to either use my facilities or my phone or something. I'm like, nah, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Why don't I give you a ride somewhere else?
Yeah. Hey, can you think of a situation where, like, someone has asked you for help and it's not like you wouldn't ever do this, but you said no in that particular situation for some reason?
Well, I had a guy come up to he was sitting on my front porch at like 5 a.m.
No, hold on. I think setting the scene, Mike does not live in town. He lives like, it's like a 5-10 minute drive off even a rural highway.
Yeah.
And there are no houses directly around you. There's like a small unincorporated town, I don't know, with a couple miles, but like there's no one directly around you.
Yeah, it's in the country, right?
Yeah.
And so there's this dude sitting on my porch at 5 a.m. and like the dog must have sniffed him out or whatever. So I go looking out the door and there he is, just kind of hanging out on the porch.
That freaked me out.
I'm like, this is weird, you know? So like I open the door, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, I was taking a breather. I'm like, what? It's 5 a.m. It's like, yeah, my car broke down or something of this craziness, you know? And I'm like, you walking? How long you been walking? And he tells me where his car breaks down. It's like 10 miles away. Yeah. This dude been walking for like 5 hours. I'm like, well, midnight's still calling hours if your cell phone still have battery. So I'm suspicious of this dude already. It's weird. Yeah. Long story short, right? Like I offer him a bottle of water. And I said, look, like your car broke down. He goes, well, it's in the ditch. I had a tire go bad and I just need someone to help me pull it out. I'm like, oh. I said, I tell you what. Why don't I give you a ride down there? I'll give you a ride back to the place. I'll help you pull it out with the truck or whatever. And really, it wasn't because I really wanted to help the guy. It's more like I need you to get off my property.
Yeah.
And so, like, if there's something going to happen, like nefarious, it just will be happening to me. So I start giving the guy a ride down south, about 10 miles. 2 miles in, I'm just asking him a bunch of boilerplate questions, you know? And he's like, I'm like, well, you know, what do you do for work? And he's like, I'm an exporter. I'm like, oh, no. He's a drug dealer.
He's the drug dealer for
now. This whole story's starting to make sense.
Yeah.
I said, what were you doing, you know, down 10 miles south of me, you know? He's like, well, I was looking at this moped that I was going to buy, and then, I was trying it out and whatever, and then, I went ahead and crashed the car, and I decided not to get the moped anyway. I'm like, what time on a Sunday night you went to go look at a moped like 45 minutes from where you live at 11 o'clock at night? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, man, I've really done. Now I'm like, I'm going to die. This guy's going to murder me. So like,
sounded good.
The more questions I ask, the more it's definitely sure he's a drug dealer. And so like his phone was out of batteries, and he didn't have anybody to call at midnight, which means either he's made everybody around him upset at him, but he said, I'm also in the security business, like I like to protect inventory. I'm like, okay,
for heaven's sake.
I'm like, oh man, I got to get this guy out of my car. So by the time we pull up to his truck, right, I'm like, I'm about to poop my pants. I'm like, I'm so nervous. I'm like, this guy's going to shoot me. Like, boy, I don't know what I've done. At least they didn't get my kids and my wife, all is well. And so we pull up to his car, and it's like an old Western. There's two farmers standing in the middle of the road with shotguns. I'm like, man, this is getting worse.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, what y'all doing over here? I'm like, I'm loosely associated with the situation. I found this dude on my porch. He needed help getting out of his getting his truck out of the ditch. And his back of his truck is filled of meth making material.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah.
I'm like, man, I've really done it this time, And so anyway, I finally get the dude out of the car, and I'm like, all right, let's get you pulled out. I got him pulled onto the main road, and he's like, well, that was pretty good. Do you think you have time to? I'm like, no. You got everything you need to change that tire? He's like, yep. And I'm like, I got to go to work. I have a good day, dude. I'll see you later. Yeah. And then I cut a trail to the nearest Casey's. I'm like, I gotta get some soda, maybe straighten this day out. But it wasn't but 6:30, and I already had my life flash before my eyes because I gave this dude a ride back to his drugged out freaking pickup truck. I'm like, these are bad decisions, Mike. Except for the glowing win was you got away from my family. That was the whole point.
Yeah, you didn't have a choice.
See, like I just don't answer the door if I don't know who it is. But I'm, they can go to the house 10 feet down. Yeah. In my situation, that's different. You're like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
He's not going anywhere.
Now, well, that's the thing. Is like a part of me is like, look, I don't like to cause unnecessary conflict, with a dude that I don't know very well. You know what I'm saying? Like people, like a dude that's sitting on my front porch at 5 a.m. and he's already walked 10 miles. It's a desperate man already.
Yeah.
There's a weird set of circumstances that brings people to this, And so I'm like, you know what? I can still do a good thing. I love Jesus. Like, whatever. He's going to take me out on the drive back 10 miles south of me. That's what it's going to be. But at least he ain't going to be at my house. My wife was then furious after I told her this story. And she's like, what were you thinking? I'm like, well, it made sense to me at the time, but it wasn't a good decision.
Like if that happens again, do you just call the police, let them pick him up? Or like, I don't even know what I would do.
Doesn't it feel
that
like...
seems kind of extreme too, but
yeah.
In this case, he needed it.
I mean, it feels like you crack the door open and go like, get off my porch, I'm going to call the law. Like, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
But like, I also...
It says, I am the law.
Yeah. I also just don't want you sitting on my porch at 5 a.m. acting weird. Yeah. Like, and he had to come, like, walk off the highway road and like and come sit on my porch. You could have sat down in the grass.
Right.
In the ditch where I would have sat if my car had broken down and no one was answering their phone. Like, I would have just sat down in the ditch and been like, I can't go sit on someone's property at 5 a.m. They're going to think I'm a weirdo.
Yeah, I mean, out there, like, you're liable to get shot. Like, it's dangerous to go sitting
like
out
the dudes
there.
with the shotguns.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I own a gun. Like, I own a shotgun precisely because I don't live out, like, near people. And so, like, when I lived in town, it never occurred to me, like, it made sense that someone could break down and, like, be hanging around the place and need a lift or something like that. But kind of out where, Mike's even farther out than I am, but I just thought, like, as far as I am out, if there's a dude out here, he's out here for weird situations.
Yeah.
And so, like, I mean, I don't want to shoot him or anything, but, like, it was enough that I'm like, I don't know, I'll probably pick it up just in case.
Yeah.
Man.
But like I don't even know if I ever changed what I did. Like even 10 years down the road.
No, it holds.
I'm like that. I think because the thing is like I know enough people who have made enough choices that put themselves in situations. I would want someone to help them too. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't care about the guy's backstory so much. In fact, I regret even asking him because if I didn't know, I probably wouldn't have freaked out so much. Yeah. But like by the time I figured out he was a drug dealer and some kind of enforcer for his own stash who apparently has no buddies and buys mopeds at 11 o'clock at night on a Sunday. No one who goes to work Monday morning at 8 is out looking at mopeds at 11 on Sunday.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's home getting ready for work because they got to go to work. So as soon as I found out what he was doing out there, I'm like, this dude is not obviously getting ready to go paint houses tomorrow at 8. So anyway, like, I probably still would have done the same thing. Because, like, as far as he was concerned, like, it was kind and it was loving. And, like, I took him back to his car and, like, all the things. You know, but like internally, I'm like, I have no idea if this was the right thing to do. This felt like an unnecessary risk. But like the unloving, unkind thing would have been like, get off my porch, dude. Like, I don't care what your story is. You need to not be sitting on my porch at 5 a.m. It's weird.
Yeah.
You know, and so like, I still think it was probably the right decision. But like, I wouldn't tell any of my kids to do it. I wouldn't advocate that other people should do the same thing. It's dangerous, you know?
Yeah. How about you, Dan?
Man, I got nothing like that. I mean, yeah. I mean, like I say, if I don't recognize a phone number, I don't answer my phone. If I see someone, we got the ring, you know, someone not ringing the doorbell, like, I don't answer it. It's like, I don't owe anybody, you know,
right,
to answer a door.
What if it was something so simple as like, have you had people ask you for money and you told them no?
I'll help them. I've always, you know, I'll do a little bit, $20 or something, or it depends on the situation.
Yeah.
Or I've taken people shopping before, and I'd rather buy them something than give them cash. But I mean, I can't think of a time I've said no, but I just don't give myself the opportunity. If I'm already feeling like this doesn't look good. But see, like in your situation, I just been thinking about that. I was like, shoot, I'd probably just freeze. I wouldn't know what to do. I haven't had enough. I just don't deal with that type of situation, you know. I live in a little city in a nice little block, and everybody's happy.
Yeah. I think I've definitely told people no on the money score.
Yeah.
Especially if it's been a common occurrence. Like, I'll shut it down after the last time and be like, look, man, like, all is well. I still love you. But, like, as far as the financial stuff goes, I think this is probably the end of the road here.
Yeah.
You know, and then, like, you know, they'll always give it one more shot. I'm like, yeah, I got to stick with no, you know.
Yeah.
Like, that is awkward. It feels weird because, like, I have the means to help them. I definitely do. You know, and, like, that's been true. I'm trying to think, like, I've had people ask me for help in a lot of different ways. And I think we live a sacrificial life. That's our the thing God has called us into, right? So, like, it's not like we're going to say, like, we're like in a posture where we're like, look, we're not going to sacrifice to help other people. But, like, I think we've had this conversation, like, it just comes around with a different hat on, you know, of like, to know whether you're actually helping them.
Right.
You know, like,
that's hard. Like,
helping versus enabling gets to be a hard conversation. You kind of have to know a lot of what's going on to know whether you're actually helping, you know? Some people have to actually legit eat out of a dumpster for a week before they figure out that, like, this is bad. My choices are putting me in places that I do not want to be. Yeah. And, like, it feels like you're the hand that delivered it there. But the truth is like, you were the hand that was keeping it from getting there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I do think it's a weird, I always feel bad. Like, not just like bad, oh, I wish I could help, but like, I would prefer to just say yes, but it's because I don't like conflict. Like, I may not be even doing it in their best interest. I just be like, look,
it's just easier.
Yeah. I don't want to have to deal with the fact that I said no. And then, like, I'm paying so that there's no opening for someone to try to make me feel guilty. Even though I shouldn't, even though the situation doesn't actually require it, it's probably just lazy on my part, to be honest with you. But, like, it's cheaper than dealing with. Which is, there's probably something wrong with that. But, like, it's hard to feel like there is like there's a grace in there, and then there's a question of, am I actually helping people? And then sometimes I think there's a caution that, like, it's not your job to be punitive. Yeah. Like, you know, like that guy made dumb decisions that got him into the ditch and probably selling drugs and buying mopeds at all hours of the night. But, like, even if you knew all the things, refusing a ride for him because of that would be wrong, because that's just punitive. It's like, oh, you didn't get your comeuppance, and so I'm going to generate it. You know what I'm saying? But what happened to him could happen to anybody, at least hypothetically. He may be
nope.
He may be in the ditch.
9 o'clock moped on a Sunday night. That don't happen to nobody I work with. Everybody's in bed at 10. They got to work.
Car and ditch in general.
Okay, I'm with you there.
Yeah.
So, but you know, I've been thinking about this a lot. Like, this come up multiple times. I guess I'll put it that way. Is that, like, our world is too big. Like, it's just too big. We are aware of danger way beyond our skis. Like, think about if it was the 1850s. You know, you'd be lucky if you're a person who saw a daily or every other day newspaper to keep up on the comings and goings. But like the Civil War rumblings were in the paper, not something happened on the side of a roadway in Tennessee way away from you. And so like our perception of people getting kidnapped and nefarious things happen by helping people, like, is way overblown because no one reports all the things where it just went perfectly fine. And you're able to hear stories that are coming from 8 states away and are making it feel like things are happening way more often than they are. And so, like, so the caution then becomes that, like, our perception of how much danger there's out there has us pull back from helping people in situations where, like, they actually legitimately need help. Like, if you're, because the same guy where I'm like, oh, I think I picked up a shotgun because there's some dude out at my house and I live away. Well, like, that's either a real nutball or a guy who really needs help.
Yeah.
And like, and because of the, like, just this perception of how often things like this are occurring, like, I'm more likely to presume he's like something wrong or he's on drugs or something when, like, I don't know, is that the most reasonable conclusion for a guy who goes off the road or a dude who ends up out of gas somewhere near my house? Probably not. But it's just the availability of information shrinks our world, but it also like magnifies it in a way that's probably not, that bends toward negativity, that bends toward fear. And it's probably not a particularly good.
So that's, I think that's the killer is like, it does bend towards fear. And like a lot of decisions, like I think get made out of either the fear of not knowing or fear in general. Right. And so like, and that's the thing, like I struggle with that a little bit because like, I mean, I know a God, you know what I'm saying? And so like, what am I actually afraid of? Like, it would suck if you killed me, I guess, but like, not for me, like I'm on the way out. It's no big deal. And so like, even looking at like a simple children's story of how we would normally tell David and Goliath, right? And I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't have done that. I would have been like, can't we come up with some kind of scheme here? Like, I don't know about going out and facing this dude. And like, I'd be like, there's got to be a way to avoid this. And so, like, kind of to our conversation earlier, like, we're cursed with the situation of abundance. Like, we have too much of everything, and so like. Everything creates a fear because it rocks the too much boat that you might lose it, right? Like we have too much money to be able to count on God to take care of us. We have too much interaction and too much available information that our brains can't even handle it. So now we're worried about things that don't even apply to us, or worried about even shadows of situations that smell like something that could have maybe happened. There's too much knowledge out there that people feel inadequate because they don't know it. And like, there's too much to even have. Like, we wouldn't the things that we expect out of even students these days, or people to enter the workforce. We're like, all the guy had to do back in the day was be able to pick up the hammer, and then we'd work with him for 3 years as he figured out how to use it. We're like, you don't actually have to know anything. All you have to do is literally show up, and then we will teach you how to do all this stuff. But like, you look at like the college information and like the high school students, like. There's so much in the world to be taken in, and because the information is so available, we just keep going, learn more, seek more, look at this over here, look at this guy's perspective. And you're like, holy cow, all I wanted to do was like come up with a little bit of work and have a little bit of a family and have a little bit of joy in my life. And there's just too much of all of it. And so you wonder why, like, especially the generation coming up right now has so much anxiety. They're surrounded by too much. All of it, all the time.
Oh, totally true. I actually found, I recognized this behavior in myself last week. I was in like the Washington, D.C. area for a conference that I was like talking to, and like I found myself asking AI questions of things that I just would have just experienced. Like what was I trying to do? I was trying to get to, I think I was about 20 miles away or 20 minutes away from down like Washington, D.C. And, I was just trying to figure out, like, I don't know, how's the traffic? And so I looked up the traffic and I'm like, well, when does it die down? And how do I interact? I wanted to know whether the pay system took a credit card, or like there was some other question where after, it wasn't quite those, but after I asked it, I thought, what? Like, what am I doing? Like I have to be so prepared to go do a thing that I would have just shown up to 10 years ago and go, well, I mean, we'll see what happens when I get there.
Yeah,
right.
And the process will work itself out because, like, it's kind of like I noticed this in some of my kids too. Is that like they'll try to kind of like we were talking about this. Was this on the show we were talking about calling people?
Oh yeah.
We're like there's just an anxiousness on what do I do? Well, like, I don't know. What do you think is going to happen when this person, what they say on the other line? But, like, I think I Googled at some point, I went to find out whether the AI had the phone tree for wherever I was calling. Like, hey, just tell me which ones to hit. Which seems like, okay, well, maybe I'm just saving time. But, I mean, also, I could have just listened for about 10 seconds and I would have gotten the information I needed. But there's like this building up of this. If I don't know how all the things are supposed to work when you get there, you're gonna look stupid, or someone's gonna be mad at you, and like you're right. Because it can be known somewhere, it feels like you have the liability to know it.
Yes,
and that's wrong.
Yeah.
And I think it creates. Yeah, actually, I sometimes envy my wife, where like major things will happen in the world, and she will not know about it for like a week. And like my kids and I will be talking about it. She's like, well, like kind of like an old guy who just like crawled out of the ground. What's this now? What do you say?
What y'all listening to?
Yeah. Like, so I just, but like she'll just be completely ignorant of something and to no consequence. I feel like I got to know all the stuff. Pants, who does our intro, the live from Pathway Studios in Johnston proper. That's Pants. Pants keeps me up to date when people die. And when Gene Hackman died, he didn't tell me. I found out through the regular news, and I'm like, what the heck is going on here? I'm way behind. Gene, I mean, the story had been out for about 38 minutes. I'm like, what the heck is Pants doing? And so, but anyway, like it's wrong. It's a wrong liability. Like our minds are postured way beyond the scope of our feet. And I think it's probably not healthy to be that. And although there are very cool and interesting things, I think Dan's got a lot of foreign Facebook friends. Like, and it's cool. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like, just the world has gotten smaller, and your ability to connect and see what other people do, it's exciting. But it brings some things with it, the shrinking of the world, that probably aren't best.
Right.
And I think the ability to take in the things that you can be afraid of from all over is probably one of those things that came in the door with it that wasn't great.
Yeah. I think if you weighed it and measured it, that the fact that the world got smaller, like we say that in a context of like we can have communications with people across the world, and like you're like, yeah, why would that be bad?
Right.
Like, but the thing is now you're taking on weight from across the world that you can't influence, right? Like we're way out of our own scope here. Like normally, even the Chamber of Commerce is a great, you know what I'm saying? Like we used to be able to, like in small town, like you took some level of responsibility within your town for like how the streets got built or where the budget happens, or you were on the city council, or you went to the school board meetings or whatever. And then like Washington was kind of Washington. Like, I mean, you participate, but you're like, look, I mean, there's no way I can research the exact behavior like more than they tell me. And their entire like goal is to convince me they're great. And so they're not going to tell me any of the stuff that's bad. So like, what kind of chance does a guy have to know who he's actually voting for? They're like, you got to get out to vote, and you got to get to Canada, and you got to participate in this thing. And it's like, what you're basically saying is you want a bunch of uninformed dudes out there clicking tickets based on the last advertisement they heard or how their granddaddy used to vote. And like literally, because you're not what you're not saying is we want you to participate in big national decisions because you're an informed party. You're not an informed party. You don't know anything.
Oh, totally. I saw this thing this morning that there was a number of what are kind of traditionally conservative or right-leaning influencers on Instagram and TikTok and stuff and Twitter, and all of them had posted like eerily similar campaigns that are like, keep government out of soda. Like the government's trying to step in and regulate your soda intake and use. But what it was like who was it? Kennedy goes, hey, look, we're going to make it so that the SNAP benefits, the food stamp stuff, can't buy soda and potato chips. And so like people are like, well, this is actually kind of weird. Like it generally isn't a conservative thing to go, hey, yeah, we definitely want our potato chips and soda purchased with the food stamp cards. And what had happened is like some marketing company had approached a bunch of conservative-esque social media influencers and paid him $1,000 per post to like use these talking points that they gave him.
Huh.
And you're like, so again, like I know what you generally think. You're like, look at the bunch of shills on the other side of the thing that I think is righteous. Like, to Mike's point, you're just not getting a fair shake at the world. All these people aren't incensed because the government's trying to overtake their soda. They got paid $1,000 to manipulate you and said, yeah, I'll do that. And then did it.
Yeah.
And so I just like, no good, no, not one. And so I just need you to be careful. And to Mike's point, like, think of how much in the political sphere, or even think of beyond that, is like how much of the effort that goes into these things is postured to sway uninformed people to not be any particular, like, deeply informed, but just be colored or shaded in one way or the other with their lack of information.
Yeah.
And those are the votes that are generally up for grabs.
Yes.
Those are the people fighting. That's why we go wave to wave and moon to moon every 4 to 8 years, is because that's what we're trading off. And so, just don't put your faith in it.
I mean, more than 50% of the population, if you ask them right now, you'd be like, well, how are you going to vote the next presidential election? They'll tell you. They already know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what facts come to light. You know what I'm saying? They're already decided. And the rest of them are like, I don't freaking know. I mean, people come up and the debates were actually used to be pretty helpful in some ways. At least you got to see some colors coming out. But like, even those are like so shaded in the way they ask a question or what topics they bring up that you're like, I don't know. It feels like everyone's lying to you at once. So like, here's the broader point, that now you have two things that are competing with each other, right? Like, you have a whole society that believes that all the things need to be known to be able to make a decision or to participate in it. I don't want to get on the phone right now and find out later that number 4 is the office I want, because the one that they're going to announce for number 3 is actually kinds of sounds like that. And then I'll get real nervous and hit 3. And now I'm in the wrong part of the phone. No one wants to be part of this. They're like, I'm going to research and figure it out because the knowledge is out there and available, right?
Yeah.
So now you won't take a step until you feel like it's a solid step right in front of you.
Yeah, no risks, no chances.
Yeah, no risk, no chances, right? And then there's this entire, like, because there's so much knowledge available, no one is there to vet it, whether it's good, right, or indifferent, or even half the story. That's most likely the case, right? It's never like 100% lie. It's like an 80 truth, 20% lie. But the 20 mattered in some kind of way that you can't get to the bottom of because it's not freely available to you. So now you put all this together, right? And then you got people that like won't make a move unless they feel confident in the next one, trying to get information that's a 20% of a lie. And now you're just sitting there with nothing but worry and anxiety because you didn't actually do anything. Nothing actually happened or moved forward. And like the worst portion of that is especially when it falls in the Christian like worldview, because if there's any interaction that I've had with God in my entire life, I get no information. I get literally 2% of the whole story and then a call to obedience about it.
Yeah.
Hey, I want you to move here. Why? Not important. Need you to do it. Hey, I want you to put your money here. That seems weird. I didn't ask you. I need you to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, God goes, step out in faith. Here's the thing I'm going to put on your heart to do. And I expect faith and obedience in doing it. And if that's the way that like a modern Christianity is working the way our society is working, no steps of faith will ever be taken.
Yeah. Just like Abraham, you're going to move. Priests dip your toe in and I'll heap the waters.
Yeah.
Like you're right. God tends to give very small amounts of information and then ask that there be an action associated with it. Yeah. And we're all storing up information and not taking any action prior to that. Well, think about that. Think about even that from online dating and stuff. Like they're not having to take the risk of getting a real stinker. You're just doing all kinds of filtering up front, gathering a bunch of information. Thinking of the stuff that you're going to talk about, like you're removing all variety and risk, which I get it. If I was online dating, I'd probably want to make sure I didn't, go out to some kind of stinker.
Right.
But like you're almost collecting enough information to help curate a life that you will never actually get to live.
Yeah.
like you're missing out on the thing that is actually the life, the walking out, and then sometimes it's a rando. It made me think of your story. Made me think I left the show here. Leaving this show is where I'm most likely to run into some sort of like scalawag hunting around. But I was on my way back home.
Look, a scalawag.
I multiple at the gas station. Like just they're hanging around and they need a ride or they need $5 or they want me to like instead of asking for $10, like dude, will you just buy me a pack of cigarettes? I'm like, I don't know, is it cheaper than $10? Like, but I was on the interstate and there was this like I don't know 20-year-old
scalawag.
Asian scalawag Asian dude just walking down the interstate, and I'm like, it kind of felt like a My House situation, which is what the heck? I didn't see a car abandoned or anything. I'm like, how did this man end up out here? And so because I was leaving the show, I was probably emboldened to be like, hey, we're doing things for Jesus. So I pulled over, and this dude is supposed to be in Ames, which is like 45 minutes from here, 35 maybe, no traffic. And apparently there's some sort of shindig that he was at, and his friend was drunk, and he was going to drive home, and this guy wasn't going to abide it, and so he's I don't know where he's going. He's obviously not walking to Ames, but like he just I don't know, walking about. And so I took him to Ames, and it was at the time we used to run the show way late at night, and so it'd be a 2-hour program. And we'd get out of here, and even if I do work after the show, I might be here till 12:31 in the morning. So I think I didn't get home till 3 or 3:30 after running this guy to Ames or something, because I stopped at the gas station again when I got to Ames. Yep. But like, anyway, like it felt. I thought, well, what's going to happen? And who says Ames? Like, yeah. He would have been, if you're going to kill somebody, like, I don't know, I feel like you do better and make it not sound like you're setting me up for what is obviously a murder. And so, but anyway, it's like, that is kind of the experiences though. Like if you, it's the thing I often tell people who are like having interpersonal issues, either marriages or kids and whatever. I'm like, they're like, oh, I know how he's going to behave. Well, like if you don't ever give him a chance to behave differently, then he won't ever, like, you won't ever get to witness it. Like, you have to walk in hope with people's relationship is like, hey, I want them to change, but I think they'll never will. Well, if that's your attitude, you won't notice them changing, and you won't give them the opportunity. You'll step in front of it. You're like, I would have asked you to do this, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to give people the opportunity to change. Otherwise you won't see it. And like, you won't be able to have unique experiences if you're not willing to have unique experiences. You can't change the world in ways that you didn't think of yesterday unless you're willing to interact in ways that you weren't yesterday. And it's always it's the same principle around your house. Like, I can't find my keys. Well, they're definitely somewhere where you haven't looked yet. Like, I know that everything you've lost is always in a place that you haven't checked out. And so I every once in a while my wife will like, why are you looking in there? Like, because all the obvious, like, if it was in an obvious place, I would have seen it by now. And so this is as good an unobvious place as any. So, all right, whatever. Maybe you pulled something of wisdom in there or threw it all out. Congratulations on your discernment. You're listening to Live from the Path. Thanks for hanging out with us so far tonight. If you got any thoughts, comments, feedback on that particular conversation or anything that comes to your mind, hit us up on the Live from the Path complaint line, 515-517-0085. Call or text. That's the Live from the Path Bob Eisenhower complaint line, and we'd love to hear your feedback. It's the complaint line's not popping. This I think it's because we've done a low number of shows. So, if you want to make sure that you get in on the first top 5 submissions for 2025, now's the time.
Can you think of a place where God speaks towards complexity of like are we just talking about folksy back in the day stuff because that's where we believe whimsy is located in the simpleness of it all? Like, or is there any guiding biblical principles to that thought pattern?
You mean, are there other places where it feels like God has executed a more complicated plan of which he's given all the steps at once or something like that?
No. More like because like if you tease out like everything we just talked about, what maybe it's just what I'm personally advocating for is a flat out simpler existence. One that does not ask AI any questions because you totally survived without AI. Like, it's adding nothing of actual value into your life. Right? Or taking in news constantly, or having 85,000 friends on Instagram that you feel like responsible for knowing about and answering to. or knowing that new tunes are coming out today. You actually were happy with your old tunes. You know what I'm saying? Like, or being involved in stuff that's across the world, you know, where like you don't know your neighbor. And you know what I'm saying? Like everything in me thinks that like the mass amount, even the knowledge portion that we were talking about, you know, that we're asking to know more. And that includes like the news stuff or like seeing this new documentary, whatever, all that stuff combined. It seems like you would have less anxiety if you merely did not have so much coming all the time. But like, I don't know. I don't know if that's just my own personal thought on the matter, or if like there's biblical principles that would, you know, like they're not like, because of the time it was written, they're not having the same struggles, you know?
I think some of that's true. I'd been giving up sugar just for fasting in this for this Lenten season, not for Lent specifically. We after we talked about it, I thought, I don't know, I think I'm gonna try it. So I'd given up sugar, but then I'd been waiting to go to this conference that I was talking about, and there's a bakery there, and like I've been waiting all year. They make a very delicious chai tea, and so I said, okay, like because all my family had otherwise given up the sugar. Also, I said, look, can I swap? I will. I needed a break on the sugar for this week, but I'm going to give up something else. And I gave up TV and any like short, like movies or short things on my phone.
Yeah.
So Facebook Reels, YouTube and stuff. And that's hard at the hotel because like none of the trappings of my house are around me. And so like, and not having the TV on and not being able to just kind of swipe and look through stuff. Like I thought this seemed like a fair swap to me. And so one of the things I realized, having gotten rid of all that, is like I actually had quite a bit of time to pray and catch up on some reading and stuff that I hadn't been doing very consistently. And it got me thinking about like how much. This is in the vein of, did they just have? I think the scope was smaller, but like they also didn't have near as many distractions going on around them that sapped your battery, that slowly took your time.
And the things that did take time were things that you couldn't avoid, right? Like if it was time to slaughter the fatted calf, it's not like you're just like defrosting this thing and then going about your business. Like you got to catch the thing, kill it, skin it. You know what I'm saying? So like dinner's like it's an all day affair.
Yeah, think about if at the time the primary thing that the lady of the house was responsible for is like the food and the stuff related to the food, like that could easily take up your whole day. And whatever schooling you were doing, it's presuming you didn't have like a schoolhouse or something to take your kids to, like you didn't have 50 things on your mind because you only had 2 things that you like realistically, these kind of major things that you could even do. And like for the dudes, it kind of was the same thing. Like your house wasn't very big because you couldn't afford to do a big house like that. You couldn't get the materials to build it. You're constantly trying to wrangle whatever animal you have, keep weed out of it, keep fires away, keep bugs away, like all kinds of stuff. And like there was so much in your own hands that you just could not even carry the weight of all the other things beyond that very much. But also you were time boxed. You woke up, you could only go do work because the sun was up. And then when I was thinking about this during the winter, the sun's down at like 5:30, 6 o'clock. And then like it's not like you can burn 50 candles in your place. You were poor. You just didn't have all that. So, like, you had to figure out what to do. You probably went to bed early. You probably sang tunes to each other. You read.
Probably had a restful winter.
Yes, right. Like, I tried to get my family on board with me choosing, like, a week and saying, look, we're going to align the rhythms of our house to the light. And so we'll work when there's light out to work. We're going to get up when the sun gets up. We're going to come in and, like, we're going to have to. I was going to try to go with like no electricity, or at least no like maybe heat and cooling or something, but not like lights and stuff. So like you just had to acclimate to like the world slowed down. You have to slow down with it. So anyway, very long way around to saying I found that I got a ton of things accomplished, but I also had time to like focus. I didn't feel rushed. Like I could pray and I could focus on praying and still have another 45 minutes left in the hour that I'd started. And I could have cycled through way more people and thought about some things and like asked questions and just all kinds of stuff that I don't really ever get to because there's so many things pulling. But I've sitting in a hotel room and having fasted all the other distractions. I had lots of time. And so I do think people had less to worry about. I think they also had, not less to worry about, that's not the right way to put it, but like fewer things by count that might be pecking away at their worries. But also just the rhythms of life did not even permit you to unnaturally stay up till 1 a.m. I'm up till 1 a.m. almost every night. Like unnaturally.
Yeah.
We have fake lights in our house, just like everybody does, so that my body will be convinced that it's okay and it's all right to be up at 1 a.m. But like,
so that's my major question. Like, are we over like looking back at history and going, that sounds so much more simple and more balanced and more weighted to correctly that the life that God would, provide for us. But like, do we have any, like, is the Bible not speaking to it? Because it's just a different age. Like, we're not having the same issues. Like, this is obviously the furthest port in history, and like, no one's had one like this. And so like, has the rhythm of life changed in such a way like that we're advocating that like, it's frankly just all too much, all of it. There's too much, even too much money, even too much comfort. Like it's all just too much, and it's not actually good for you.
This seems possible to me, but I think to your getting to the root of your question, it feels like that might be super idealistic, and like it risks layering a simple life on top of what it is to live a Christian life.
That's right.
In the same way, having conservative political beliefs feels like it layers on to a Christian life, and there's a very real risk of kind of conflating things in that way. Does that make sense, Dan?
Yeah, I think so. Like I was just thinking as you were talking that you go to a third world country and it is still like it was in Bible times. The sun goes down and people are like, well, we're headed back, we're going to bed. I mean, we go and have revivals in churches and they're like, oh, we're going to keep this going until Sunday night. They're like, oh no, we got to go prepare for the week. We got to wash the clothes and get them out and go into bed, and school's early in the morning, and it's like, huh. And they're just very happy, with their simplicity. And it's really odd to us. It's like, well, we got 6 hours. We need to cook supper, and start the fire.
Right.
It's like, huh. So, yeah, I don't know. I think we have complicated our lives by making it less complicated. I mean, but we've piled on the stuff, the things like you said, the movies, the videos, the toys, the trinkets, the activities, and they just didn't do that before.
Yeah, and it feels like progress. I mean, like I get the irony of four guys in a podcast studio talking. I get it, but like that's what we're talking about. I suppose is like this whole part of our existence would not be if there was a simplification of our lives to go, look, man, it's dark out.
Yeah.
Like, we get here when it's dark every time. Every Monday throughout the whole year, it's dark.
Right.
And so, I get that. And it seems like, from a modernization perspective, like, if you didn't have to spend 5 hours preparing for dinner, could you go play volleyball with your children? And is there something good about that? Yes, I think there is. But it does feel like we're like that. It's a complication. You wouldn't talk about it that way, but it is. And so simply is being simple. It's simple is not holy. That's not what we're saying. But there is something about how our society changes around us, and how you get away from Paul going, look, just do work with your hands. Like do like something that feels the same instruction Adam gets in the garden. We're like, yeah, but we figured out a way not to have to do that.
Right.
we do other things with our time. Yeah. But it's holy because people may listen to our podcast and turn to Jesus. Right. And like here's the other thing though. And I remember this from, it had been 12 or 13 years ago. We were having this conversation in this it's a different studio, but like hey, couldn't I just move out into like Montana? And like Herrick was here and he goes, no, because the people aren't there. I'm like, well, I don't know. Is that my responsibility? He's like, yeah. because the reality, and what it basically was getting at, and it's the same reason why like we'll probably continue to do the show, is that regardless if I'd like to see the whole world maybe simplify and maybe it reduces anxiety and I don't know, maybe it brings all kinds of good things. The gospel still does have to be shared in the society, even if it's moving in one way or another, of which I'm like, oh, I'm not sure that's best. And so, you know, you got to play, if you want to play soccer, you got to go where people are playing soccer, not fire up your own game in Montana and go, but if you want to join me, you can.
Right.
And so it's the same reason that, Paul goes to big cities. Like, as much as I like the salt of the earth stuff, like Paul's basically targeting big cities.
I think the point is like, there couldn't be, it's just study after study after study after study that's like we live in the most anxious time in the world, right? Like since its inception. And so like, and then we have one keynote biblical verse of which we use to address it, where Jesus says, don't be anxious.
Yeah, just knock it off, that's all.
Right. And so, but like, I think it would be, the foolish part is most people are like, well, where's all this anxiety coming from? And they have 1,000 places that they want to look for it and say, it could be this, it could be this, it could be COVID, it could be the milk, it could be the blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? It's all this stuff. But like at the end of the day, anxiety is rooted in whatever it is, it's too much. That's where it comes from. Like a lack of control, and the lack of control of it could either be a lack of faith in you, a lack of faith in others, a lack of faith in God, right? But like at the end of the day, if you can't control it, a lot of that stems from it being too much for you to be able to control, which means it's just too much. All of it's just too much all the time. And if you're unwilling to be able to go, well, let's at least run that through the gamut and get rid of some things and see if that addresses it and see if it can't help it, then you're being run right by the idealistic. There's more is always better, more knowledge. And like it's always the good stuff that ends up trapping you. No one's going to be like, hey, more turkey is better if you just keep pounding it down after you're ready to vomit. Like, oh, you just got to have more, that'll be better. But more knowledge, sure. More relationships, sure, that sounds great. More love for the people around you, sure. But like if you run those things out to their extremes, they're exhausting. And no good actually comes from it. Yeah. And no one is actually saving the time because they have an automatic payment reminder on all their bills. They're like, well, good, I'm glad I saved that time. I can go play T-ball with my kids. What you're doing instead is scrolling Facebook and adding more weight, and watching videos and adding more weight, and like spending money on more technology to try to take off more weight, which in turn breaks and causes you more weight, right? Like it's just a never-ending cycle of more weight, and we just keep trying to solve it the wrong way. Yeah. It's basically like the world is offering a shortcut to what God has promised, where God says, look, you will get there through faithful, patient following of me. Like stay focused on the problem solver, not the problem. And it will eventually take care of the problem, right? But instead we're like, all I see is the problem, let's shortcut our way around it. And it just keeps adding. And I just know that, like, I've just had so many people I've talked to, like, especially over the last year, where it's just anxiety after anxiety and worry after worry and fear after fear. And all of it comes down to, I can't control it, right? There's nothing I can do about it. Yeah. Well, some of it is because there's too much of it. You couldn't control it even if you wanted to. And God's not going to step in and go, hey, I'm going to control all of this, right? He's going to be like, stop taking on so much. Stop letting there be so many factors, right? Like you're being controlled by you chose your own Pharaoh, except for you chose 50 Pharaohs. Yeah. And God's like, I defeat a Pharaoh when it's standing in your way, or 2 Pharaohs, or I can help you see the way through this, but you keep adding Pharaohs. And so like, you're not asking for my help. You're asking for me to tell you to stop adding so much. And like, that one's on you. You got to stop doing that.
I really like that visual of like anxiousness is the presence of something going outside of its borders. Like something like spilled over that was not contained that should have been contained.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes they're fears of stuff, like we've got too many things, there's so many possibilities, and like, well, okay, there's too many possibilities. They've gone outside their borders. You got to let that go. Or like we took something that was God's to own and we drug it outside of its borders and put it in our own shop or whatever.
And especially that stuff tends to be centered on you. Like some people get a lot of anxiety about, I'm not enough. That's why they get anxious with the phone calls, right? Well, what if the receptionist at the dentist's office thinks I'm an idiot? Well, who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, you care because you're like, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at making phone calls. I'm not enough. Well, this does tend to start pointing in like, God says you're enough even if you make crappy phone calls. And like the point of the day is to get the dentist appointment, not to gain the affection, love, and trust of the person running the phone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so like, it's not risky. There's no risk there, but like you inherently put risk in there because you can't control what the receptionist thinks about you. Now that's a weight, you know, opposed to what I can control is my ability to say, I can be there at 2, clean my teeth. I don't know. I don't do dentist things. I'm not going to research 50 dentists. I don't want to know the ins and outs of every dentist in the tri-state area. I just want to pick the guy closest to me and go, do you do dentist work and do you have some kind of accreditation? Yes. Great. I won't know whether you're any good or not until I've been here and thought, nope, that wasn't great. I won't come here again.
Yeah. All right. You're listening live from the path. Mike, I think we kind of made our way through enough time just to do some advice.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. Dear live from the path. I'm 29 and my boyfriend is 36. We met on a dating site and we're together for 3 years. He broke up with me 2 months ago because he didn't think he could marry me. We were not engaged. He says I'm the love of his life, soulmate, and his dream come true. And I feel the same, but he has commitment issues. When I met him, I was in the process of getting divorced and ending an abusive marriage. He was the best boyfriend, and to us, our relationship was perfect. But his commitment issues gave him doubt that I'm the one he's supposed to be with. I truly believe that God put him in my life. Something told me he was the one. How can I get him to see that we are meant to be and not to give up on the best relationship both of us have ever had?
When people say somebody has commitment issues, is that just like a way of saying he got cold feet? Like, what do we mean by that?
I mean, he broke that relationship all the way. He didn't even propose.
Yeah.
And they've been dating for 7 years, right?
No.
Or did I make that up?
3
3
years?
Where did it go? It wasn't that long. For 3 years, yes.
3
Okay.
years.
Yeah.
I mean, in 3 years, you'd know at that age, you know, that's...
He's almost 40.
Yeah.
He don't want to marry you.
Why does he say she's a dream woman?
Apparently, he doesn't
Soulmate.
want to marry anyone, though. She's been married, but he hasn't, it sounds like.
Yeah. I think that this without reading too far into it, right? Like you coming off an abusive marriage, you're basically like, this guy's great. He doesn't abuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like you have a very low bar after the commitment that you made that went foul on you and that you got out of. And so like, it's just like this is how like people end up cheating, right? Like if your spouse pays you no attention and you find anyone that pays you any attention at all, you're like, this is my dream relationship. Mm-hmm. That doesn't get vetted out through years of living and shared experiences and ups and downs. It's just, this is different than my current relationship and it's way better. Mm. And so part of me thinks that that's true here, right? Because like a 36-year-old man who's going to date you for 3 years, right? And offer no sense of commitment at all. He doesn't have commitment issues. He just doesn't want to be with you in a legal sense and commit to you the things that are required out of a husband-wife relationship.
You have to wonder, is she giving him a reason to marry her? I mean, if they're already playing married, you know, and all the intimacy and sharing finances and whatever, all the things you do, why bother getting married? You're already doing everything. Mm-hmm. You know, if she hasn't given him maybe the incentive to like, well, if we were married, we'd do this, and that. And,
yeah.
I mean, we're guessing, but
yeah, I think overall, like, it's more sad than anything, like, because, like, at the end of the day, feelings don't move mountains as much as actions do. And like, his actions are like, if you were to separate what's coming out of his mouth versus what his actions are he does not want to be in a long-term married relationship with you. He just doesn't.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he broke up with you. That should be that's a solid action. Like, I do not want to be in a long-term relationship. How can I get him to see it? Right? Like, I don't think that's on you to make him see it. Right? And so, like, if he hasn't figured this out, what you say it's been 2 months. Like, I don't know. He's not 22. You know what I'm saying? Like, we expect a certain level of maturity out of people. And frankly, if he's 36 and still this immature, you're out anyway. Right? Mm-hmm. But if he's 36 years old, he's not worried about not being able to go to college in London. because he has a tight relationship with you. You know what I'm saying? Or he'll never be able to move to New York and do his dream job. He's 36 years old. You know what I'm saying? He's not facing a bunch of awkward conversations and long distance relationships, right? So I don't know what excuses that you're currently making for him, but like he's not interested. He's just not. And it sounds like that he's not willing to sacrifice these things for you anyway. So you should be definitely out.
And to answer her question, there's nothing she can do.
Yeah.
I mean, they've already been together for 3 years.
Yeah.
And it wasn't enough. Whether it was her or him, either way, it's not long term. It's not going to be a marriage.
Doesn't it kind of start a pattern that you don't want to get in anyway? You know what I'm saying? Where like, it's on me to show him this. You know, it's on me to make him realize it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is how you want to live your whole life. Like, trying to convince him to do things that he's not interested in doing. That doesn't sound like a partnership.
Yeah, I mean, the one question maybe is if he is he just doesn't have a lot of so I don't know, maybe he's got low self-esteem or something. Like if he was saying I'm afraid you're going to leave me eventually because he doesn't think very strongly of himself. One, most people, like if you asked him, I'm guessing you're asking, like, this is why the commitment issue thing, I've realized I've heard people say that for years. And like, I don't know what you mean. Like, hey, what are you actually afraid of, that I'm going to leave you? Because that feels like that's not your commitment issue. That's you just protecting yourself. But like, in either case, I could see that. Because I actually had the conversation with my wife recently, is that I thought like, every once in a while, I'm like, I don't know, do you like me? Like, here's the thing, is like marriage is such an interesting situation because like, everybody else, you can't really rely on everyone else's stories, but like the most important thing in the world, you're only getting feedback from one person. Mm-hmm. And you're like, I don't know, am I not good at this at all? Or like, and so I just, the reason it came up with the conversation was just talking about health of our marriage and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't know. I like to know that you know, this is working, that you're happy with me.
Yeah.
And a lot of your life just gets into doing life. And there aren't like very obvious where like, not only are we doing life together and I appreciate it, but like, I'm actually very happy with you. And she was like, well, I do the same thing. I just want you to be happy with me. I'm like, well, dang. But like, there was like some self-consciousness stuff there that like, oh man, maybe she's getting the rough end of the bargain. Like she's a lot better at marriage than I am or something like that. And so like, I say that to say, I think it's normal to someone have to be reminded or to take the opportunity to remind and encourage people that no, like actually I still choose you, whatever your fallibilities are, like I'm not rethinking any of this. And so like if it's that, I think you should be patient with that. I don't think you have to sit on, like, you can't be babying a man for 5 years. Like, he's got to take you at his word and realize that it's like, if he's got some self-esteem stuff, that it is actually his to work through, that it's not fair to like carry that forth for the next 20 years of the marriage. So if it's that, I guess I have a little bit of patience for something like that. But if it's just like a guy who, to your thoughts, like if he just doesn't want to commit because he doesn't have to, and he wants to keep his options open, like, again, that's not a commitment issue. That guy's a philanderer, and he's using you. And there is a difference between that and a guy who just like needs to be reminded that you actually do think real highly of him. Mm-hmm. So maybe that'd be the only caveat I would make.
No, that's not enough for me.
Mike's not doing it.
You're done. You're done. He's an old man. 30. Come on. We don't have time for this.
What? He's not old.
36. He's on his way out.
Way out.
Secular says, I love your sales pitch, but the person who has to buy it is him, and he's not in the market for a permanent attachment. Believe me, I sympathize, but both partners have to believe the other is, quotes, the one, and the urge to commit appears to be definitely one-sided here. Remember, you met this man as you were getting out of an abusive relationship. He was kind, and you pounced on it. It would be interesting to know if you received any kind of counseling after the prior relationship, because you may need some now to make sure you don't repeat an unhealthy pattern.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it has been 3 years. We don't get the sense that the guy's like mistreating her, right?
No.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Hey, man, look at this great thing you don't deserve. Do you want it? Yes. Yes, I do. That's the way people act when they're excited and feel like they're in a relationship where the other person's way better than them. You're like, heck yeah. I can't believe I'm doing this. This is so great.
I'm getting away with it.
No.
Actually, it's a really good point. This is going to sound like terrible advice. But like you almost have to, coming out of a bad relationship, you should just almost immediately break up with whoever you date next. As just so you get used to flexing the muscle. Like lest you end up in a situation that you shouldn't be in. Like remind yourself that like you are not like damaged materials, and that you're lucky to have whatever thing like flew by next. And so I'd almost just intentionally pick out someone that you don't really want to hang around, go on like 2 dates and go, you know what, dude, we're going to call this off. Yeah. I think it's a good muscle to flex. Also, I would say the same thing if you've only ever dated the one person in your life. If that relationship doesn't happen to work out, do this like same thing. Just go on
practice.
Just go on a date.
Do a practice cut.
Yeah, you don't got to be harsh about it, but just be like, it's not working out.
Yeah, you're an experiment to me.
Yeah,
Brian, you're out.
Yeah.
Okay, dear Live from the Path. I was fortunate to learn an uncommon hobby from my grandmother. Weird. What a weird thing to say.
I can't wait, actually.
Because I am the only grandchild who continued the hobby, I inherited her tools. I mainly keep in touch with my extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins through the social media, and because of that, I post my work from time to time. They have expressed happiness that someone is continuing the hobby, so I want to continue sharing. My problem is that several friends constantly nag me to sell them my items. I work full-time, have a large family, and volunteer at my kids' school, so I have little time to devote to this hobby. Each item takes many hours to complete, and I don't want to sell them. Also, if I price them appropriately for the time it takes to produce, the items would be costly. I have told these friends repeatedly that I do this purely as a hobby, yet they continue to bombard my posts with demands that I sell to them. I don't want to, quotes, unfriend these people. They are my friends, and in other respects are wonderful. How can I get my message across to them?
I would submit that you're a terrible communicator.
Yeah.
What kind of person says, I got an unusual hobby from my grandmother, and then does not say what it is?
Does not reveal.
It's the most interesting thing about the thing we're talking about.
There's tools involved.
Tools,
What the heck is it? Like,
I don't know what he does.
saddle stitching?
I think he makes stained glass.
I think
Wood carvings?
Soap
carvings.
soap sculptures.
Oh, like chess pieces.
Yeah.
Uncommon. Why wouldn't you just say?
Yeah, I'm a soap. My grandma carved soap. I picked it up.
Everybody wants me to do it for
They
them.
call me the
like-
soap man.
Like shrunken heads? Like, why would you not just say? These are so. I mean, is it so uncommon that like people are like, "Good night." I didn't even know that was a hobby.
Right? I taxidermy walruses.
Yeah, only walruses
Yeah,
with
that's
one
it.
tusk.
And my friends love it. Everybody wants one.
I put the other tusk on top.
Yeah.
Looks like a uniwalrus.
Hey, okay, listen, your friends are just being nice.
Yeah.
Like, learn to deal with, either get off of social media or recognize that it's a bit of a float show. And so they're always going to be like, oh, I want one of a walrus. Like, they don't, some of them, maybe a couple might want it. They're just trying to be encouraging to you. They're not like, what do you mean bombarding? Like,
Yeah.
how is this negative? Just swipe it away.
Yeah.
Oh, Ted commented.
There's
Okay.
like, there's 6 red circles. I can't take it.
Yeah, read all. Like, these are not difficult things to overcome. And so if you block, this is your own personal problem.
What are you doing with all these one-eyed walruses?
Yeah, right.
Where are they going? Like, if you just do it for your own, like, is there a basement full of these creepy shrunken walrus heads or whatever you do with your time?
Yeah.
And then you take a picture of them, put them on the net, and go, hey, look, I'm continuing what Mima taught me. And everyone's like, I want to buy them so bad. And you're like, no, they're in my basement. I can't get them out. Once they're down the stairs, they can't go back up.
Yeah.
This is the
Yeah,
weirdest
weird.
turn of events. What do you sell, friend? Wow.
Oh, okay.
So you just say no.
Yeah.
I mean,
or nothing. Like, if it was like your example that you gave was that they're on social, like if they're coming to your house like every few days, I'm like, no, seriously, sell me one of those, smokeless ashtrays and a mogwai. Okay, like you got yourself a problem. But if all they're doing is commenting on social media, going, looks great, I really want one.
yeah.
Okay, also the premise is disingenuous, right? If I want to show my aunt who lives a quarter mile down the road this shrunken walrus head, then I go to her house, I knock on the door, and I say, hey, look at this.
Yeah.
And we're going to use this metaphor to equal a message that you sent them. right? Opposed to standing in the middle of a cul-de-sac going, "Shrunken walrus heads." Everybody look at them, you know, and they're like, "Are those for sale? How dare you, sir?" Right? Like opposed to targeting the people through a direct message that is completely available through all social media platforms. You stood in the middle of the cul-de-sac and yelled at the top of your lungs, and then you anger it to people. They're like, "That's cool. How much are they? How dare you try to buy my hobbies?" It's a weird. You're a weird dude. Like out and out. I don't think you take the world in right.
You think this is a fella?
Oh yeah.
What was the name?
Hold on. Crafty in Pennsylvania.
I thought it was a lady.
Yeah, me too. Sounds kind of girly.
Yeah.
No way. I inherited the tools.
You're right.
There you go.
Totally masculine.
I mainly keep in touch with my extended family, aunts, uncles, and cousins through social media.
Yeah.
I think what this person needs to do, they can make some cash this way, is hold a class and then have everyone come over who wants to buy one, teach them how to make their own.
Yeah.
And then you'll charge $50 for each person. And so you've made some cash, and now they know how to do it on their own.
What is it, though, Dan? What is this woman making? What is it? Is it like those, what's those needlecraft, like old school looking things that people put swear words in? They look like the two Dutch people kissing that says "Home Sweet Home" or something, except for they
Cross
write
stitch?
like cross stitch.
Yeah.
Except for they write like "I poop here" or something, and then put it in their bathroom. Maybe that's what this guy. What is that? The tools?
That's not unique enough.
Here's the thing. It's like you inherited the tool. Are they unavailable for purchase? Is it like a butter churn, or you know what I'm saying? Like is it like an old school apparatus that people can't get anymore? I'm so mystified at what this person is making.
I don't know.
It's beyond my reach to understand it. I make light bright animals.
Can I ask? Is it wrong to ask the AI this? Like, what is they making? What are the most likely thing?
Yeah, we're not asking the AI that. It's better to pontificate between humanity.
Yeah. When do I give up and ask the AI?
You don't ever do it.
My surroundings have acclimated me to wanting to know. Can't I have this information? Can't I let the AI be my friend and ponder with me?
I feel like the soap carving's probably most accurate. That's probably right, Dan.
Yeah, I think it is.
What else would you? Why would you leave it out? And why would you? Modern tools can be purchased for cheap. You can Temu a whole set of soap making material for like $7. Take 3 months to get here. Okay. I don't know if Secular also wants to know. Okay, Secular says, tell your friends you are complimented that they would like to buy your creations, but after spending the amount of time you do creating them, they've become like your quotes children. Yeah, that's even less creepy.
Little soap people.
Freaking weirdo. This is a horrible idea. Point out that you would no more sell them than any one of your kids.
Oh, dear.
And they are not and never will be for sale. Say it with a smile or use a smile emoji. But do not relent. If the requests keep coming, limit with whom you share these images. For example, only relatives. Okay, that's the only salient advice that happened there. You should stop telling the whole neighborhood or the whole world that you have this tusk walrus. You should just tell the people that need to know. There's no way that you are taken aback on how social media works. You're seeing how everyone else's social media works when you look at it. When you tell an entire people group of things, an entire people group is going to be like, cool. You're a weird fella.
Yeah. This a lady for sure. That's not a dude.
Okay, you want to do one more?
Yeah, let's
do one more, then we'll cut out of here.
Okay.
Dear Life from the Path, I recently reconnected with a colleague from work. We were friendly, but not really what I would call friends. We reconnected on social media and have had lunch a few times. Problem is, she's become a very negative, aggressive, angry person. She spends our time bashing family, former colleagues, and just about every service professional she has encountered. She refuses to stop talking about politics, even though I've made it clear I'm not comfortable with it. The first lunch was bad, but I thought I'd give it another shot. The second lunch was worse, and I decided I wouldn't reach out to make plans again. Then she made a comment that made me feel inclined to try to befriend her. She said she didn't have a lot of friends. 2 or 3 lunches later, I just cannot keep doing it. I'm trying to rid myself of negative influences, some of whom are family members, and I don't need to continue spending time with this individual. If she reaches out again, should I keep making excuses until she gets the hint, or should I be honest? I'm somewhat afraid of her because, seeing the way she bashes people, I know she would bash me to other people we know, and I could do without that.
She already does.
Yeah, she's already doing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
We had this conversation earlier today. about saying no to somebody when it's going to be awkward.
Yeah.
At what level you want to tell them the truth? I'd give them the full honky, honestly. But just if you love them, you got to tell them that, like, look, you're taking on way too much negativity in this world, and you're spilling it on me, and that ain't my journey right now. So we either got to shut down these lunches, or you got to figure out a way to look at a sunrise every once in a while.
Yeah, one of the things I always appreciated about like romantic literature. I don't mean like romance.
What the heck's wrong with you?
Hold on a second.
I like the long flowing hair.
Unbelievable.
I don't mean like romance novels.
What do you mean?
I mean like romantic era. So like 18th century. Anyway, so like the characters always have the conversation that you want them to have. Like they say the thing. And so I feels like from societally, we've gotten away from a lot of this stuff. And I don't mean like being jerky. I just mean being clear. Like, I think you should have lunch with this person and go, hey, I said I really didn't want to talk about politics all the time. And you keep talking about politics all the time. Can you tell me why you're doing that?
I don't know how you couldn't do that. It's so important to our world right now.
Yeah, I don't I get that it's important to you. It's not important to me. And so since I asked you to I didn't really want to talk about it. Do you think you can respect that and not keep bringing it up?
I mean, is this friendship completely about you and you only? I have wants and needs as well, and I want to talk about the politics.
Yeah, I understand. And I'm sure there are other people in your life that you can connect with to do that.
But I value your opinion.
That's great, and I appreciate that. But it's still the thing I don't want to talk about. I just feel like, or like, hey, you come in here all the time and you talk all this bad stuff about people. One, like, can you name a good thing? You know, I'm just like, we kind of like, if you just shade someone and go, I don't like what this person talks about all the time, I'm just gonna stop going to lunch with them. Like, it's not your job to fix this person, but like, did you at least say it? Did you have a chance to and ask them about it? Like, not just, here's the problem is we tend to like get irritated with something and you just load off on somebody and then they get defensive and you don't progress. But this goes to some advice Dan was giving before the show started, is that like, I don't know, I'm kind of curious, why is it that you spend all your time talking about this negatively? It turns me off. Like, I'm not super excited to come out and hear just all this negative stuff. So like, have you thought about that? And like, it's just backing yourself away from, I just don't like this, to like, I actually just become more curious about it. Like, what is causing this? And did you realize you're acting this way and how other people might reflect? And like, the thing I like about that is it gives people a chance to either kind of try to make progress away from it, or it becomes a lot easier when they go, yeah, it's just how I feel. And I like to share what I feel. Okay, great. Now that we got that straightened out, I don't want to be here. I'm not going to keep showing up because like, yeah. You know, it helps clarify something without presuming that people are intending to be the way they are. Maybe they are, but they'll give it to you once you start asking them some questions.
And it does like help if you like can quick characterize what the purpose of your relationship is, right? Like I have plenty of friends that are mutual friends, right? Like we share, struggles and thoughts and good times and all the things, and like they feed into me, I feed into them, and that's a mutual relationship. There's some relationships that you have on purpose that are not that, right? Like if you're like a mentor is like a overly professional word, but like if your role in this relationship is to be a guiding figure in like the way that their life is going, then that's a different approach. But like a friend you meet for lunch, like that should probably be a mutual relationship. And if it is not, if it's completely one-sided or is providing no value in your life, then you either need to decide whether you flip the way that you look at that relationship in your mind, which would then you'll tolerate a lot of negativity because you're trying to be helpful to them. But if that's not the route, then yeah, you probably got to bail and you probably got to tell them. It would be a shade, like the duck and cover idea is no good. That we don't live that way. Like you don't have to be like horribly, truthful, but you should be truth and love when you fire it out. But like truth definitely has to reign in that particular thing.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, Secular says, there's no reason to be unpleasant to this troubled woman. Start being busy when she contacts you. Here we go, with the lies. If she traps you by saying something like, if your schedule is too full this month, how about next month? Make a date with her. If she starts bashing others, stop her, smile and say, let's talk about something else, something pleasant. Then continue being less available for longer stretches of time. When you become harder to reach often enough, she'll eventually lose interest. It's like a dog. You gotta train them with bones, and then like you give them a bone and you say sit, and then you walk farther away. And if they try to stand up, you go no bone. But if they sit there for a long time, then they get a bone. This is horrible human to human advice.
Yeah. Gosh. I don't know. You know, I know this seems like it might not apply all that often, but like I would say it's happened numerous times in my life where I just didn't realize I was behaving in a particular way. And you just trend. You start to trend in a direction, and someone goes, "Hey, man, you're kind of acting like a turd." In this following way, I'm like, "Well, shoot, I did not realize I had done some." And like when you're at your best, you might respond positively to that. Sometimes you get defensive, but like maybe it'll come back around a few days later. So I think at least give it a shot and do so by asking questions, and I think you'll get to a spot will either make you feel really good about, "Yep, totally great to chop this off," or I'm glad I didn't overreact, and now that they know about it, I can be helpful to them. So, all right, you're listening to Live from the Path. Thanks for hanging out with us here on this beautiful evening. I don't think we're gonna be here next week, but we'll see how that. I think it'll pick up. I think the consistency of these shows will pick up. And in the meantime, plenty of back catalog. Make your way through that. And in the meantime, be faithful in the means. God will handle the ends. You've been listening to Live from the Path.